Today, you'll learn 12 words you should stop saying if you want to sound fluent. You'll remove these words from your vocabulary and you'll replace them with better words to sound grammatically correct, fluent, and natural. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Number one, ought. Ought. You should remove this word because it's outdated. Native speakers don't use it in modern English. It sounds too formal and it sounds stiff. Now, my grandmother would say to me, "You ought to be nicer to your brother." When I hear the word ought, I think of my grandmother. I don't think of modern English. You ought to be nice to your brother. Of course, this is grammatically correct. But now in modern English, native speakers replace this with should. You should be nicer to your brother. You should bring an umbrella. It looks like rain. You should stay home and prepare for your job interview. So notice should is your modal verb and you use modal plus base verb. And of course, this modal verb is used to express obligation, advice, or expectation. So I could say to you, you should subscribe to JForrest English. Would you say that to your friends? You should subscribe. You should definitely subscribe. If you'd say that, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now, don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number two, works. Works. Do you know why you should remove this from your vocabulary? It's because it's grammatically incorrect as a noun. And that's the important thing because of course you can say she works at the bank. This is the verb to work conjugated in the present simple with your subject she. She works at the bank. But I hear my students say, I have a lot of works tonight. This is grammatically incorrect. The same with I have a lot of homeworks tonight. The word homework includes work and these are nouns. Now work is a collective noun, which means it's always singular. So to be grammatically correct, you need to say I have a lot of work tonight. I have so much homework to do. Now keep in mind work when it means tasks, assignments, or obligations is a collective noun. It's always singular. But we also use works with artistic intellectual creations. Now, in this case, it's a regular noun, so it can be singular or plural. For example, his works of art are displayed in galleries around the world. They may not say of art, it's implied. So if you ever see that and you're confused, that's the reason why. It's acceptable with artistic or intellectual creations. But you could also say his work is displayed in galleries around the world. Number three, irregardless. Irregardless. Have you heard native speakers say this? Because native speakers commonly make this mistake. But the word irregardless does not exist in the English language. All you need to say is regardless, regardless. Remember, I advise that you should subscribe to JForrest English. I can add regardless of your level. Now notice if I include the noun your level, I need to include of, regardless of your level. You can also use this at the beginning of a sentence. Your friend might say, but I'm only a beginner. And you can say, regardless, you should subscribe to JForrest English. So again, put that's right if you want to advise your friend to do that. Now, regardless, this means not being affected by something. So your level shouldn't affect you. It's the same as despite. So you can equally say, despite your level, you should subscribe to JForrest English. Number four, United States. Why would you remove this from your vocabulary? Because my students say, I'd love to visit United States. This is incorrect. Do you know why? It's because you need the article the. I'd love to visit the United States. Or you could say he's the president of the United States. How about this sentence? The United States president is visiting us next week. In this case, United States is used as an adjective. The president is visiting us. The belongs to the noun president. United States functions as an adjective. Remember that proper nouns such as cities or countries don't require articles. The United States is an exception. I hear this mistake so often. Remember, the United States. Number 5, rock. You may know that I love saying you rock, which is another way of saying you're amazing, great, or awesome. Native speakers like myself love saying this. The problem is that in the comment section of my YouTube videos, I see so many comments where students say you are rock. This is incorrect. It is not to be rock. That's not the sentence structure. The sentence structure is to rock. So it's using rock as a verb. So if I say you rock, that is in the present simple. If I say you rocked the presentation, this is in the past simple, which means you did a great job on the presentation. How about this one? You're going to rock the interview. This is the infinitive, to rock. Now, it is possible to use the verb to be. I might say, you're rocking it. You're rocking it. But this verb to be is used in the present continuous tense. It's the same as saying you're doing a great job right now. So remember, to be rock is grammatically incorrect. The sentence structure is to rock. So absolutely, keep this in your vocabulary, but make sure you say you rock, you rock. Number 6, ain't. You may already know that this is slang, not standard English, but you should understand it because natives commonly use it. But I think you shouldn't use it because there's a high risk it will sound inappropriate because yes, natives use it. You'll hear it in music. Taylor Swift has a song called Ain't Nothing But You. And in a separate song called Blank Space, she repeats the line, ain't it funny, a lot. In this case, ain't means isn't. Native speakers also use it in casual conversation. I ain't got time. Here, ain't got means don't have. Native speakers also use this in certain expressions that just sound correct using the word ain't, like the expression, ain't it something? Ain't it something? It's snowing in July. Ain't it something? In this case, ain't means isn't. So yes, you should understand it because natives commonly use it. But again, I recommend that you shouldn't use it because there's a high risk it will sound inappropriate. Number 7, fine. I'm fine. You should remove this because it's often used with a negative, not a neutral meaning. So students learn that fine is bad, fine, good, so it's more neutral. But that's not how natives actually use it. For example, if you're in a restaurant and let's say you order salmon and the server comes and asks you, how's the salmon? And you reply back and say, it's fine. This means that I don't think it's very good. That's how a native speaker uses this word. It actually means bad in this context. Now, also, same with if your friend, your coworker, your husband or wife comes up to you and says, is everything okay? You look upset. And you reply back and say, I'm fine, or everything's fine. Most of the time, this actually means I'm upset, I'm just not telling you. There is one time where native speakers use fine in this neutral context that the word implies. If you're at a grocery store or if you're dealing with a service provider and they say, "How are you?" you should reply with, "Fine, thanks, and you?" So we use this as a social norm to be polite. We generally use this when we don't actually care about the answer. So when the person is scanning my groceries, they don't actually care how I'm doing. They're just being polite. So we just reply with, "I'm fine." So if you're in a restaurant and they ask you, "How's the salmon?" and you like the salmon, you should say, "It's good, it's great, or delicious." Now, in a social context, if someone says, "Is everything okay? You look upset." Well, you can say, "I'm just tired, that's all," which means you're not upset. Or you can admit you're upset. "I asked you to get groceries and you forgot." Or you can say, "No, everything's good, everything's great." But in the context of going to a grocery store or dealing with service providers and they ask you, "How are you?" absolutely just say, "Fine, thanks, and you." That's the standard reply. Number 8, needn't. You should remove this because it's outdated, it sounds too formal, and it sounds stiff. It doesn't sound natural. You needn't finish the report tonight. Yes, this is grammatically correct, but it does not sound like something native speakers say. You don't need to finish the report tonight, or you don't have to finish the report tonight. That's what native speakers would say. Need is for necessity and have is for obligation, but they're often interchangeable. You don't need to buy groceries. We already have everything for dinner. So this sounds like there's a lack of necessity. You don't have to work tomorrow. It's a holiday. So this is a lack of obligation. But again, a lot of the time you can use one or the other and there's no difference. Number 9, must. Now you should remove this from your vocabulary if you're using it just to say need or have to, because native speakers use must when there's a strong obligation. There's a rule to follow, a formal rule to follow. I hear students use must too often. They use it for general obligations, but again, natives prefer need to or have to for general obligation. If my husband said to me, "You must get groceries," I would be like, wow, this is a very serious request because he used the word must. But if he says you need to, you have to get groceries, this is a normal request, and this is the request I expect as a native speaker. Must, again, is used for formal rules. So think of government or even workplace requirements. You must bring your passport to the airport. This is a formal obligation. You need to, you have to pack warm clothes. This is a general or normal obligation. You must wear proper footwear in the kitchen. This is a formal obligation from your workplace, most likely. You need to have to buy new shoes for the party. This is a general, normal obligation. Number 10, query. This is not commonly used by natives as a replacement to question. "I have a query about the project." A native speaker would not say that. It sounds unnatural. A native speaker would say, "I have a question about the project." And if you want to use an alternative word, you could say, "I have a concern," "I have a doubt," or "I have an issue, perhaps." But keep in mind that it is commonly and naturally used with computers, databases, and software development. In this case, it means request for information. For example, I need to write a query to pull the data from the server. But remember, you would say, "I need to ask a question about the data you pulled from the server." So do not use query to mean question. Number 11, participate. You should stop using this grammatically incorrectly and with the wrong meaning. So first of all, for grammar, you participate in something. I hear a lot of students say, "I participated the conference." That doesn't work. You need that preposition in. "I participated in the conference." Now it's correct. But keep in mind that participate does not mean attend. Attend is focus on being present. Participate, the focus is on actively contributing. So if you say, I participated in the conference, I would ask you, how so? Were you a speaker? Were you a moderator? Because you were actively involved. But maybe you just wanted to say, I attended the conference. You were present at the conference. But you can absolutely participate in this YouTube class by leaving a comment using your new vocabulary, and you absolutely should. Number 12, funny. The mistake I hear is that funny is commonly used when fun is the correct choice. Remember, funny produces laughter, but fun produces enjoyment or entertainment. Students say to me, the game was funny. And I reply and say, oh really? Why? Why did it make you laugh? But they didn't want to say funny. They meant to say the game was fun, which means enjoyable. And then I would reply back and say, oh, that's great. I'm so glad. Now you can absolutely say the party was funny. I laughed a lot. Or the party was fun. I had a great time. Do you want me to keep helping you improve your vocabulary with words that are grammatically correct and sound natural? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here are 12 more words you should remove from your vocabulary. Watch it right now.